So recently, I've been so recently I've been having conversations with people, as we all do, right, in our social lives. And I have started doing something that I feel is a very grounded way to have a conversation. And you can try this now while I'm talking to you. Instead of talking to people, being in tune with every word they say, completely enamored by their opinions, their thoughts, and their ideas, what I've been doing is also to pay attention to the silence between the words. And what is happening there when I do that? So when someone is talking and we have a conversation, a normal conversation, I don't pay full attention to what they're saying and the content of what they're saying and their ideas as I would have done previously. Completely enamored, completely in tune with what they're saying and ignoring something completely essential to who you really are. Now, I also pay attention to the silence between the words, as you can do now, while I'm speaking to you. When I'm talking now, don't just pay attention to the content, to my words and what I'm saying, the ideas, thoughts, opinions, but also listen to the silence between each word, each thought. And what happens when you do that is you actually tap into a much deeper, calmer, core version of who you really are. Because we have thought all our lives that we are our opinions, our bundle of thoughts, ideas about who we are. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a creator, I'm a cashier, I'm a victim, I'm a loser, I'm a winner. This is what I do in the world. But we have stopped paying attention to the true identity underneath all of these concepts that come up as we present ourselves to the world and our story to the world. So when you're able to listen to the silence between my words, if you're able to listen to silence, generally also, if you're sitting in a room, but also while you're speaking to people, you are actually able to still your mind. It's only when you can listen to the silence around you and in the room and while you're talking to someone that you can listen, that you can quiet your mind. You aren't able to quiet your mind if you only listen to the content of another's mind. But if you listen to the silence and the space around the words, and especially between the words of a person, if there are pauses, I'm doing this slowly, very deliberately, but in a conversation it will be faster and there will be some pauses here and there. If you're able to listen to the silence between the words, you have essentially stopped your mind. Because you can't listen to the silence in a room and be aware of it without not also stopping your mind. So that's what I've been doing lately. When I'm talking to my sister or a friend or my mother or anybody, a stranger, I'm also in my body and listening intently to the silence between what they're saying. And what happens is you don't take what they're saying very seriously. Of course, you listen, you pay attention to what they're saying, but you're not really only paying attention to that. 30 or 40% is paying attention to what is not said, which is very important, because then you're not completely identified with concepts. You're not completely identified with what your mind is trying to interpret in this world. You're also identified with the space and the consciousness that you are, and the space of your being, because that's your true identity. These waves of concepts that come and go in your consciousness. Listen to the silence now while I'm speaking. These waves are just modulations of consciousness, modulations of your true identity. But they're modulated in such a way that they, in a sense, become distorted. You can say distorted, but it doesn't have to be distorted because that sounds negative. But modulated consciousness. But the true consciousness, who you really are, is the vast ocean beneath these modulations that you have created, these concepts about the world, the programs about the world. And when you listen to a person speak, the programs of his world, the concepts of his mind, the concepts of his inner reality. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm not a guru, I'm not a master, I'm a student, very much so. I have a lot of things that I have to work on within, but as I'm getting to higher levels and as I'm evolving, as we all are, we're going from lower levels, not all, but many right now on Earth. We're going from lower levels to higher levels. Quantum leap in evolution of consciousness. As we're doing this, I'm interested in sharing what I'm finding out about myself and how I'm evolving. So I'm not a guru, I'm not an expert, but I can talk about mastery and perfection because I'm on my way there, and many of us are. So that's just what I wanted to say. Pay attention to the spaces. As I'm talking now, I'm listening to the silence between my own words, and I'm hearing my own voice as consciousness. And this is very hard to do when you're completely, especially when you're triggered, when you have shadow aspects of you coming up, you won't be able to do this. But that's okay, because we're taking small steps towards mastery, no rush. Consciousness is a process. Life is a process. You're not supposed to be there right now. You're not supposed to clear the video game in one go, but incrementally you get there. So that's what I wanted to say. Soul talk. Yeah, that was it. Peace.